without particularizing the volume of monetary traffic that you handle. My question is, can you be helpful to the committee and indicate to us, on average, how much money do you handle per month, per year? You can segregate it. I don't know how many members you have in PSPA. You can indicate to us Airtel handles this financial volume every month, so that it instructs us when we are considering what threshold we should, if it's necessary, set in the law. In general terms, it will be very difficult for us to come up with a reasonable threshold if it's necessary. The second issue, and also again very brief, for the last 2 days or so, 3 days, we have interfaced with several stakeholders, the non-governmental organizations, the CSOs, Bankers Association, faith-based organizations, Bank of Uganda, Financial Intelligence Authority. Everybody who comes to the committee basically tells us one thing: exempt us from the operation of the law. Do not include us in the ambit of this regulation. Who do you think we should include in this particular regulation, this particular law? Or are you saying we should, I will borrow a phrase from a CSO that appeared before us, we should bin the bill. Are you also suggesting we should bin the bill? Wilfred.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and I want to thank the team from PSPA. I've looked at your presentation. Unfortunately, you have not exhausted clause 2 of the bill, and your presentation is very good. I wanted to hear from you, especially on clause 2 of the bill. Somebody talks about policy of government, especially for the customers who use your system. Who knows where to find this policy of government? And how is this policy of government arrived at? And secondly, we just want you to reinstate for us, if, assuming this bill is passed as the Honorable Yusuf Nsibambi would want, and amended, what would be the effect on your organization and the e-payment system generally in this country?
For your information, Honorable Wilfred, the Honorable Yusuf made proposals to improve the bill by way of amendments. Any other concern? There being no concern, I think we can have the response.
Maybe let me start with Honorable Nsibambi's question on the invisibility, in quotes, of our operations, and therefore the potential for illicit funds finding their way in the conditions they give us. Is that, and this information may not be known to you, but part of the conditions they give us is that if we are receiving money from abroad, we must know the name of the sender, the address of the sender, the name of the recipient, and we must run both names against the international sanctions lists, the EU, the UN, the OFAC, and the HMIS, which is the UK one. And for us, we've even extended that. We run the names and the address of the sender and the beneficiary. Honorable Nsibambi, unfortunately, the way the sanctions lists work is that they consider name, For example, we have a case here where we have someone called Robert Mugabe, whose money we always reject because Robert Mugabe is on a UN sanctions list and the US sanctions list. So sadly, it uses name, and so we get so many false positives. But that's considered sometimes the cost of making sure all money is legitimate. So we subject all our transactions to that kind of scrutiny, and all of this is done in real time. So someone sending you money from abroad, the moment they send the money, we take their address, their name, we run it against a sanctions list. We come and look at the beneficiary here. We also run their name on the beneficiary on the sanctions list. And if any of those two is there, that transaction is rejected. And we are expected every day to report to FIA the names that have been flagged. We also flag what we call suspicious transactions on a daily basis, and limits above 5 million for mobile money transactions and 20 million for banks. So if anyone tries to send that kind of money, immediately we have to inform the FIA and Bank of Uganda. So we've already built in very many mechanisms to make sure that illicit money does not come into Uganda. I think the next one was from the Honorable Fox. How much money do we handle periodically? It's hard to come to a figure as an association. We can get you that figure later. However, as Pegasus Technologies, Bank of Uganda mentioned that the money that came into Uganda from remittances last year was $1.5 billion. Of that, Pegasus handled $828 million. So on a monthly basis, just in remittances alone, and just that's one product, in remittances alone, we handle about $70 million US per month coming in. That's just one product and one provider. So across the associations, it's quite a lot of money. And again, we're only talking remittances. Remember, we handle much more than remittances. We handle bill payments. We handle other payments as well, school fees payments, and so on and so forth. So in just that alone, remittances alone, and by the way, we have people in the diaspora paying bills for their relatives. Yeah, we have people in the diaspora paying
You
school
also
fees.
handle repatriations?
Is that money going out?
Yes.
Personally, we don't as Pegasus because
But
our license, but the other members of the association do.
You see? Very interesting. Repatriations in this case mean an international company has made profit here and it is taking out money. Is that correct?
So that goes through banks, I think, but as an association, we handle, like he was saying, if you're sending money to China and so on,
Okay.
that we handle, but not repatriation.
But you didn't handle Yusufu's.
I don't know under what name he was trading, but we didn't handle that. And then the next question, I think, from the Honorable Fox was, everyone is asking for exemption, therefore, who should be included in this bill? Now, really, I can't speak about those who should be included, but from where we are standing, we feel that there is already sufficient oversight on our operations, and we do not see, and I don't want to presume to speak for the framers of this bill, but we do not believe we should be the target for this bill, and we feel that it adds nothing to our operations. It does not make it any safer, because I don't see anything it introduces that's not already taken care of in the various bills, rather various acts that are already in effect, the NPS Act under which we are licensed, the FIA Act. We are also accountable to NITA, UCCUS, all nearly everyone. So we feel there's sufficient Computer Misuse Act and so on.
Chair, a small intervention. I had a small background as a banker. When you're talking about Bank of Uganda supervision, monitoring, we have had banks collapsing with this kind of supervision you're talking about. And then, yes, including mine, where I was a shareholder and an officer. Greenland, yes, thank you very much. Now,
Honorable Sibambi, you are protected.
thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are talking about Bank of Uganda supervising financial intelligence agencies, supervising but we're talking about a very big group coming in. Definitely, I don't want to say they don't have the capacity to supervise. Beyond filing returns and documents, what kind of supervision are they doing? Contrary to what is indicated here, matters to do with security, issues of emergency, the digital remittances, what kind of supervision specifically are you talking about? What happens on the ground? Beyond talking about Bank of Uganda supervising us, Financial Intelligence Agency, specifically what do you submit and what is the supervision practical on the ground?
Thank you, Honorable Nsibambi. I think that's a very valid point. I think away from banks, one of the advantages we have as an association is that nearly all our transactions are digital in nature. And that allows Bank of Uganda to have near real-time view of the transactions we are performing. So it's beyond just publishing books quarterly, which by the way we do, so that anything that might go amiss is caught within a space of 3 months. But that's purely for the books. But in terms of transactions, number one, as I said, we are expected to report every transaction deemed suspicious. And let me tell you what that is. So we've all inbuilt in our systems mechanisms to track what we refer to that as velocity checks. But any number, for example, that receives more than 5 transactions a day, we flag the 6th as suspicious. We flag numbers that receive large sums of money. That's also suspicious, and we report all of these to Bank of Uganda. We also flag numbers whose it may perform only 3 transactions, but the total sum exceeds 20 million. We also flag that. So it's either large amounts or many transactions or total sum exceeding a certain limit. That is all reported to Bank of Uganda. So in real time, they have this kind. Likewise, if a number has been involved in fraud, it's reported among any of us as a fraudulent number. That is reported to both FIA and Bank of Uganda, and we have a portal where we upload all these numbers, and those are put on some sort of grey list. And so they've built in mechanisms. Because the transactions are digital in nature, they are much easier to follow than bank transactions.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Aol Betty Ochan, a Member of Parliament representing the people of Gulu City. I came and found the presentation already on, and accordingly, you gave also your proposal on how to improve on this bill. And accordingly, if it is improved the way you have proposed, will it be okay for you? Because at a certain time you almost say that the bill is not relevant to your, is it PSPA? But at the same time, you made some proposal. If you have to rate what percentage of this bill would be right for you, and what percentage actually needs to be thrown away. So can you rate it? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Through you, Chair, we seek 2 things. Number one, exemption altogether from the bill. Because as I said earlier, we feel it adds nothing to our operations. And in fact, to agree with Honourable Wilfred, which was the next question I was going to, that what would be the effect of passing the bill in its current form, I think the short answer is it would be completely disastrous. We would see almost a closure of operations as we know them. It would be completely disastrous. So, number one, we seek exemption. However, in the event, and hopefully the unlikely event, that we are not granted exemption, we therefore gave recommendations that still seek to sanitize some of the clauses that impact us most negatively. And the second document that we gave you almost goes clause by clause, showing the ineptly written clauses that would negatively or adversely impact our operations. So really we seek two things. In the best form, a complete exemption. In the worst form, that those clauses be amended to lessen, and probably may not altogether remove, but lessen the extent of the impact on our operations.
Thank you. That
Chair, my question has not been answered.
can you
On the choice of countries benchmark.
And mine on clause 2 policy of government.
respond to that quickly?
Maybe let me start with the first one, the choice of countries. I think it's only best practice to compare ourselves with the best. And so we went out seeking those countries that we would like to benchmark ourselves against. I don't think anyone is going to try and use a law from North Korea to see how that may improve our operations. So, Mr. Chairman, the reason we went for the countries that we look up to was for that reason. The issue on, maybe let me just reference what the honorable member is talking about. Did you say clause 2, honorable member?
It's clause 2 on definition of policy of government. That animal.
In which document, sir, honorable member?
I said you had a very good presentation, but in my considered opinion, you did not exhaust clause 2.
He only touched that matters to
And I wanted to get
You are soliciting for his views on
exactly
the
and
entire
from
clause.
from the association.
He would require some research about that. Yeah.
And Honorable Chair, you had guided him that the clauses that had been canvassed by the other stakeholders, they should keep away from.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, PSPA. In fact, if we knew what you do, you would have appeared together with Bank of Uganda. But we didn't know. We thought you are service providers of tents.
Not money.
Chair, not all of us. Not all of us.
That notwithstanding, we thank you for your time and for your well-researched presentation.
We are more much
Have a
obliged.
blessed day.
Thank you, honorable
You stand
members, and thank you,
discharged.
honorable chairman.
Thank you. So we now have 3 groups to go. We have National Association of Broadcasters, NAB. We have NOTU and the Rotarians. KIU. There is also KIU here? Okay. So which group is this? NAB. NAB is next. After NAB, NOTU. After NOTU, the Rotarians. We are serving the Rotarians for... KIU is here? Confirmed? KIU. You will come last. We normally save the best for the last. You are welcome. Introduce yourselves and proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and to honorable members. Good evening to you all. My name is Ben Muine. I am the Vice Chair for the National Association of Broadcasters, NAB in short. NAB is the umbrella body for broadcasters in Uganda since 1999. We represent TV, radio, and digital broadcasters as well. We are a much bigger group than you see here today, but we had been here early in the morning as had been scheduled, and unfortunately many of our members had another engagement with the Uganda Performing Rights Society to deal with broadcast tariffs, and therefore had to take leave to deal with that. With me, before you, honorable members, is our secretary, Obadiah Ismail Hotim, and our administrator, the secretariat, Lisa Najemba Jemba, with you. Thank you very much. As
Chair, procedure and for the record, in good faith, you're talking about, are you registered as an association, and who are the members? Even if you don't have the list now, but kindly please, through your chair, let them, we want to talk to, when you talk of stakeholders, don't just come with the two people and say we are talking on behalf of broadcasters. When you are just two broadcasting
Honorable
houses.
Chair, I'm sorry to interject when a senior member is speaking, but he has done that consistently to all our witnesses.
Yes, for the record.
By the time our witnesses submitted their memoranda, they defined who they are. Honestly, Honorable Chair, should you keep doing that to our witnesses? And it's been persistently one member
I think I
doing
just
that.
want to clarify.
No, you should not threaten our witnesses.
Chair,
You're
it's not threatening.
No, you're putting them in this array.
No,
Let
no.
them be allowed to present. By the
Honorable
time
Chair.
they've sat here for all these hours, they know the capacity in which they came.
And for your information, Honorable Deke, you should note that Honorable Sivambi is the only one who is supporting this bill. Therefore, he has conflict of interest. And is doing this to disorganize our witnesses intentionally.
Moreover, he's not a substantive member of the committees.
Yes.
Please, Honorable Chair, people have been here since 9 a.m.
Exactly.
They are not mad to sit here till this time.
So, Honorable Sivambi, don't bring your personal conflict of interest in this bill. If you are supporting, you stay alone.
And since he has appeared as a
After
witness,
all,
let him remain a
after all,
witness.
Mr. Chairman, after all, 99.9% of witnesses are against. So it's only him who is being planted to support this bill, but will not succeed.
The Honorable Sivambi is protected.
Chair.
He had a genuine, legitimate concern.
Chair, we can
And
appreciate
let
that much as Honorable Sivambi and Honorable Fox,
Point of
our
order,
colleagues,
Chair.
members of Parliament,
Can we have order?
still they can sit the other side.
Can we have order?
Much as the members.
Yes,
Chair,
yes,
we can sit the other side.
Point of order.
It is the conduct of committees that the chair must be heard in silence. You were making a ruling and the Honorable Abdallah was submitting.
The Honorable Abdallah is out of order. Colleagues, let's maintain decorum.
The Vice Chair should
The
also take
Honorable,
a seat there.
the Honorable Sivambi raised a legitimate concern. It is within his mandate as a member of Parliament, and we know that although he is not a substantive member of the Joint Committee, he has rights as an ex-officio member, and those rights must be respected. So you will proceed to answer his queries, and then you go to the substantive
Chair.
matters.
Chair, honestly, even I raised it this issue last time. With your permission, well, I'm not saying that Honorable Sivambi should not be in the committee, but I'm proposing for clarity and proper submission of the issues when he sits the other side. Much as he's a member of Parliament, there's no problem. He can cross and sit the other side so that we can move properly.
To honorable colleagues, the question the Honorable Sivambi is asking is even good for the committee. Because you see, when an association comes and we have an attachment of the members of the association, that is good for us. We have consulted the entire group, not just the three. So
Honorable Chair, Honorable Chair, the Uganda Registration Services Bureau exists. If a member is not satisfied about the capacity in which our people appear, they can do a private search and search for the certificate of incorporation if the need arises. But this issue of constantly asking, witnesses have identified themselves before us. They've come with their presentations that are well marked. You want them to continue to speak onto that point. You go and conduct a research in URSB. All the records of whoever is registered are there.
Let's leave it at that. Kindly proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Allow me through you to thank Honorable Ajake for looking out for us, but also to indulge Honorable Sivambi. I will go again. My name is Ben Mwine. I am here as Vice Chair of the National Association of Broadcasters. We are an umbrella body representing all the broadcasters in this country. This covers TV, radio, and digital. And there was an issue about there being only 3 of us, as I have duly noted. We were here at 9 a.m. because we were meant to appear before the committee at 10. We did have another engagement with the Uganda Performing Rights Society in the afternoon, and many of our members had to go to attend to that. But we believe in how important appearing before this committee is, and so we had to have representation here. I would like, in a light manner to you, Honorable Chair, to say that if this was a tactic to ensure that we remain live on TV until this time, it was unnecessary because we are live anyway and we cover all the proceedings of the committee through our members. And even right now, if you turn on your phone, and I'm saying, Honorable Doi, that even if you didn't do that, we would still cover the proceedings. We are live on TV right now. If you turn on your phone and look for an app called AfroMobile, you will be able to see yourself on TV even as we speak. As NAB, we do not merely do broadcast. We educate Ugandans, we inform, we hold power accountable, and by constitutional design, we are the 4th estate of democracy in this country. As we come before the committee today, Honorable Chair, as NAB, we don't come as enemies of sovereignty, we come as some of its most faithful guardians. Nation sovereignty cannot be maintained without a free press that speaks truth to power. And the bill before you that has been presented at the moment, no matter how well-intentioned it might be, honorable members, seems to have a lot of nuances and ambiguities that threaten to silence the very voices that are meant to facilitate growth in this country. As it is, it would criminalize our partnerships, it would shackle journalism in this country, and most importantly, it would drive away investment that sustains thousands of jobs across the creative economy. I'll give you one example before I hand over to our Chief Legal Secretary to make submissions on the report. In clause 13 of the bill, simply reporting what has been happening here today would be deemed to be publishing information that weakens or damages the economic system in this country and would be liable for a fine of 4 billion shillings. When the governor of Bank of Uganda was here today, he suggested that the bill as it is threatens the stability of our currency and our country, and simply reporting that, the way the bill is structured right now, would be deemed to be criminal and get us into trouble. The governor of Bank of Uganda used a phrase that I loved very much. He talked about something called regulatory fragmentation. In the world from which we come, we are masters in the art of framing headlines. And being sensational sometimes is very useful to catch attention. And the governor used a word that I think is very well placed. I want to follow in his footsteps by creating a sensational statement or two in saying that the bill, as it is right now, can best be described as an oxymoron and a classic case of cognitive dissonance. Because at the moment, we are claiming as a country to be aiming for tenfold growth and yet suggesting laws and bills that seem to directly threaten the possibility of being able to do that. We therefore suggest that this bill disregards the most basic principles of common sense in the way it is being structured, and we will restrict ourselves to the clauses that speak specifically to our industry. And I will hand over to Obadiah Otim Ismail, who is our Chief Legal Secretary, to speak to the issues that we are raising regarding the broadcasters in this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair, Chair of the committee, and honorable members. The good thing is that coming last can be an advantage and disadvantage, and so in that respect we'll focus mainly on clauses that we think speak to the broadcast industry. Like my Vice Chair stated, the broadcasting industry is actually one of the most regulated industries in the country. Why I state that is because we are regulated by Uganda Communications Commission that speaks to the day-to-day broadcasting of our members. We're regulated by Media Council that speaks to the journalists, that speaks to aspects to do with classification of our programs. We're regulated by URSB when it comes to normal company registration, but also collecting societies as far as copyright is concerned. And the list goes on and on, as well as even associations that monitor the content that we have on our platforms. So as it is, broadcasters by their very nature are over-regulated. Now what this bill proposes is that it brings the sense or the central aspect of publication and promotion to question. And like my vice chair stated, when you're speaking publication, when you're speaking promotion, whether it is within the country or outside, the world being a global village, our members are partners with a number of international bodies. Our members are belonging to a number of inter-company or groups across both the region or globally. So the clauses in the bill, starting with, for example, clause 10, that it technically prohibits promotion of foreign policy. And almost all the presenters before the committee has raised the question, what is that foreign policy? What is the government policy that we have? And if it is pegged on the cabinet to determine implementation, to determine a policy that is for the country, at what point does the media play a part? Will there be a central point where we go to access all these policies? And does positive criticism of proposed policies to a country, how does the interpretation play along? You know, and so the central role played by media in terms of criticism, in terms of democratic discussions in a democratic society is challenged. And that clause, when read together with clause 13, in respect to economic sabotage, again points to the aspect of what the Bank of Uganda governor was speaking to, as far as research, as far as criticism, as far as challenging, you know, some of the policies that has been proposed by government. So the vagueness with which some of these clauses have been drafted raises a big question as to how the media should approach promotion, should approach democratic discussions, should approach freedom of expression, and all those freedoms that has been enshrined and protected under the Constitution. Of course, we also raise concern in respect to the definitions and the application of the Act, because Section 2 speaks to aspects to do with an agent of a foreigner, and the question goes to who is an agent of a foreigner. If our partners or our members end up promoting interests of a foreigner, or partner with foreigners, or decide to partner to come up with content or media-related campaigns that might be misinterpreted to amount to, you know, promotion of an interest of a foreigner, that by implication means they're agents of a foreigner. And so they fall victim to this clause. It's key to also note, Chair, perhaps as a food for thought, that when we are law students in the universities or an independent lawyer, when asked to draft a clause to do with sovereignty, the expectation will be, how does the citizens who have been given the power, you know, as the people that are giving power to the authorities to legislate or to rule on their behalf, how do they exercise that power? And so the sovereignty bill will have been one where the citizens are allowed to challenge abuse of office, to challenge corruption, to challenge aspects to do with corruption and impunity or mechanisms for civic oversight and accountability, as opposed to the proposed draft that we have before us. Because this technically changes the whole angle and makes it more of a power of the government as opposed to the power of the people in respect to what sovereignty under Article 1 is concerned. Notwithstanding the questions that were alluded to previously, that article by extension expounds the provisions of Article 1 and so should give rise to either referendum or the people to decide on how it should be expounded. as per Article 260. So, Chair and honorable members, our humble prayer on behalf of our members is in respect to appreciating the central role that the media plays as far as promotion and publication is concerned. And by nature of that, our clients are both within the country and outside the country. And so should they be boxed in a corner where they're interpreted to be an agent, and yet their content already undergoes all these regulatory frameworks that I alluded to earlier on, it will become over-regulation in respect to what their mandate is. And so what this brings us to, having submitted or made submissions in our memorandum that is before the committee, is that one, our primary prayer is that this bill should be rejected because the already existing laws that has been demonstrated by the various laws that has been cited before this committee from the Anti-Money Laundering Act. And yet the fundamental aspect of the bill is to do with financial transactions. And so like FIA has submitted, as the Bank of Uganda has submitted, they should only be strengthened should the need arise or if there's a gap that has to be filled as far as the mischief behind the bill is concerned, as opposed to enacting a whole new law in respect to the same. But should the bill have to pass as a do or die, for lack of a better word, then we make proposals that, again, just like many others, I overheard the honorable member mention that everybody is asking to be exempted. Yes, the broadcasters are also asking to be exempted. Why? Because we are regulated. Actually, we are over-regulated, like I already alluded to. But in absence of the same, then there should be exceptional factors and exemptions that should be captured in respect to what amounts to promotion, what amounts to publication, and what aspects of promotion by the different sectors, like the broadcasters, what is the qualification in respect to the same. And the threshold should be increased as well. 400 million is a transaction that over a financial year or over 12 months is very limited in terms of the current value of the money that we spend as far as transactions are concerned. Chair and members, in summary, for purposes of time, our key prayer is that the bill should be rejected because we have sufficient laws that will protect the mischief behind the draft, and above all, should the same be, considered for legislation, then the drafters should go back and reconsider the entire draft, clause by clause, from the definition all the way to the clauses that affect the different sectors, especially the regulated sectors that are affected by this bill. Thank you.
Colleagues, you have heard. I want to believe that the document is clear, so there won't be any Honorable Fox.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Yesterday, I listened to the Honorable Yusuf Nsibambi, and I want to restate a case that he made yesterday. I'm not so sure I will manage it as eloquently as he did yesterday. Yusuf taught me, I always say, in 1991, in second year at the university. That was many, many years ago. So, Yusuf put forward the position yesterday, and this is the question I want to discuss with you as Ugandans. In the event that a foreigner sends money to a local player here, a politician, X, resident in West Budama, Northeast, this politician is in the opposition or a non-conventional member of the movement like yours truly. The politician uses that money to buy machetes and he engages in acts of violence, sets out to cut voters. Shouldn't we, as a country, think about regulating the inflows of such finances? That is the question Honorable Nsibambi asked yesterday. The atmosphere is now very hostile. He has elected to keep quiet, and I have elected to be his advocate. And I want us to speak candidly as citizens of this great nation. Don't you think that there is some evil that this law, with all its imperfections, seeks to address? And should we therefore throw the baby with the bath water? Is there anything we can do to salvage? First, is there any salvage value? And therefore, is there anything you can propose that we should do as members of this committee to salvage the baby?
Thank you very much, Honorable Doi. I would like to actually turn this around and point it at you.
The issue before he responds.
Oh, sorry, Honorable Chair.
Let's have two more. Honorable member for Isingiro and okay. Two more.
On that vein of Honorable Fox Odoi's, I was also seeking of the same question. Suppose he sends money and the other politician uses it also to buy an ambulance, to buy tents, to buy chairs. Will that be bad money?
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to learn from our witnesses. Take, for instance, it is a government policy that we are promoting PDM, we are promoting USE, UPE. And this is a situation where I receive money, I go on radio and begin decampaigning these government policies. I begin causing people to move away from the government policies. What do you think would cure this if we don't have such a law?
If I may add on, you know, these are the leadership of NAB, National Broadcasters. First of all, you receive money. Secondly, you go on radio or TV. Broadcasters, so now they can respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I'll deal with the first one and then Council Badia will deal with the second one. Honorable Doi, you made reference to throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I would ask you, in this particular instance, who is the baby and who is the bathwater? Because the way the bill seems to be structured at the moment is that you're trying to kill a mosquito with a nuclear bomb. And speculatively so. So you're suggesting that if a politician receives money and uses that money for nefarious purposes, it would be detrimental to the country. And at the moment, it suggests that the solution to that, as we have heard from the governor of Bank of Uganda, is kill the entire economy so you can deal with this one small problem. Because as it is at the moment, I'll give you some very basic examples that we've noted down. If the US Embassy, which has been one of our biggest funders for government programs in this country, wants to run a documentary or do a news story highlighting the good they have been doing for us as a country, the bill right now says for me to report that is criminal. When I report in Live at 9 every night and have a business section, according to what the bill says in clause 13, for me to report that the shilling has depreciated against the US dollar or is going to depreciate at the moment is a criminal offense.
No.
According
no,
to the
Chair, I think that should be clarified. Just look at the categories of activities
Right.
under clause 2. Yes.
Honorable Nsibambi, if you look at clause 13, before you look at the activities, the clause 13 says this: it is an offense to publish information that weakens or damages the economic system. Now, exactly, this is the point that Council has been raising, that this is subject to interpretation for anyone and can be used in a manner that then becomes a problem for you. And so, if you talk about government policy,
Chair,
for
we have
example,
a duty as Parliament, because that's actually the problem. You are misguiding people.
Please
you look
protect
at the
us.
activities under clause 2.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
Please protect us, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, procedure. Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
The stakeholder is giving their submission according to how they understand the bill.
Correct.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, procedure.
And also the independence of each clause on its own. Clause 13
Mr.
has
Chairman,
no connection with clause 2.
To deal with the details is for us.
The
as a
procedural
committee.
point I'm raising, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
We need to respect your chair. And I've seen our Honorable Shivambi jumped in, start the contribution without passing via your chair. And I've seen how he's trying to intimidate our witness. And then as the witness answered, when you compare the baby to be thrown with the bath water, if it is a toy baby, you just throw anyhow. There's no problem.
Okay, let's conclude.
I thank you, Chair. I'll hand over to Council to conclude this, but again, just for Honorable Sivambi's benefit, when he talks about clause 2, it does talk about agent of a foreigner, and I think, like Council has mentioned, this is also subject to interpretation, and the way it is described at the moment is very easy for it to be misconstrued. If I get funding for a program from someone in the US, that can easily be described as an agent of a foreigner. Council.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Sivambi is a lecturer on law. He knows that the law doesn't operate in a vacuum. You read it as a whole. And so these clauses don't stand on their own. It is subject to interpretation. And it's good to be biased, but other people's opinion is also very valid to the extent of the interpretation. Chair, the second question was in respect to the campaigning government programs. And our submission is that as it is now, we have the minimum broadcasting standards from UCC that demands every broadcaster to ensure that such subjects are balanced. And so we always ensure, if you watch shows of our members or news bulletin from our members, they try as much as possible to balance. The point is not that the government should not be decampaigned or criticized. That's a freedom guaranteed in the Constitution. The point is that when the broadcaster is giving a person that platform to decampaign the government, have they ticked the minimum broadcasting standards? And the minimum broadcasting standard demands that if a member of the public or international body is saying Ugandan policy on economy, for example, is the worst in the world, have you brought in experts in that field or an alternative opinion to also give the side of the story and justify why the government's policy is going to work? If the mischief behind this bill is to stop people from criticizing the government or to stop the country from having an opinion on whether a policy works or not in the spirit of sovereignty, then I think we are all on the wrong path or heading towards the wrong direction. So yes, we do have minimum broadcasting standards, and yes, many people have decampaigned government programs and policies, but the same government has been, even Yusuf Subambi has been with our members since morning and the whole week. And other opinions are saying we're giving him a lot of opportunity to be heard. So it's a two-way street, and it's good for a democracy to have different opinions, to criticize, and to discuss in that spirit. Thank you
so much. So you now have 2 minutes to wind up.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We will not take 2 minutes. I think everything that needs to be said has been said. I think the issues that we will raise in summary are that the bill as it is Clause 10 at the moment criminalizes standard media practice and should be deleted in its entirety. And if that is not possible, an exception must be inserted because promotion of foreign policy as it is now is a trap. Clause 13 at the moment criminalizes legitimate criticism as economic sabotage, as you have just heard. And this is a direct assault on media freedom, and we have that protection in the Constitution. Personal liability for officials also provides for criminal and civil liability of the minister and any official who actually abuses the bill's powers for malicious, corrupt, and politically motivated ends. And I think in the history of mankind, we are very well aware of how that easily can be abused. The issue of exempting legitimate professional services, of course, that is very clear, but also aligning with existing frameworks. We've already heard from the Bank of Uganda and the FIA and what they have said, the NGO Act and other laws that we already have that speak into this. Also, we think that if the bill must go ahead, there should be a significantly higher foreign funding threshold to make sure that this doesn't become a big problem. In summary, based on everything that we have heard so far, Honorable Nwagaba, I think, can translate on my behalf to the rest of the committee. Where I come from, we have a saying in Runyankole that says, Nantagambirwa. He would understand, they're very close to each other. And the chairman actually might be even closer to be able to do this. There's a saying in Runyankole that says, Nyatagambirwa akagiri ishodye. When the governor of the Central Bank of Uganda comes and sits before a committee and says, if this bill goes ahead, you will destroy the economy, we are best advised to listen to someone like that. So we submit.
Want to tell us what he meant? Well, thank you so much, Nab. But we got the message. The message was quite clear. We want to thank you for your time. And sorry for keeping you here up to now. For now, you stand discharged. Now, colleagues, we still have 3 agencies, and I beg you for your indulgence. Today we are going home early, because yesterday we left at 8. Today we are leaving earlier than 7, so. Into the Honourable Member for Ontario is talking of welfare. Can our clerks do something about the other table? So, not to kindly take up this, or you want to remain there? It's okay. You can remain there. Submit from there. Then now the Rotarians can take over this one. Yes, procedure.
Thank you, Chair. For avoidance of the Honourable Nsibambi, Honourable Adeke, I will call it a fracas, which doesn't augur well to the reputation of this committee. Could we have some clear guidelines on how to proceed with the remaining entities?
We have been moving on so well until Anna made the fuss of in my view, really, there wasn't need for that issue to come up. I think colleagues should be free to raise up any matters you have. Be free to raise up any matter, whether in opposition or in support of the bill, but we have agreed as a committee that we are independent. We are judges in this matter. You cannot openly express your side in view of the stakeholders, because the stakeholders' views are divided. So exercise restraint. Let's be as neutral as possible until we get to that committee stage where we could even flex muscles on clauses. We know how we do our things. If it requires fighting, we shall fight, but indoor, as members of the committee, not in view of the cameras. Thank you. Notu, you introduce the head of delegation, introduce your colleagues, and then proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable members of Parliament who are here. For the 2 committees, first of all, allow me thank you for giving us this opportunity to appear before you. And I want also in a special way to thank our member, that is Honorable Byakatonda, for also ably always representing us ably in this parliament.
And he really tried. He wanted you to appear much
Chair,
earlier, but the time couldn't allow.
Chair, before I proceed, allow me introduce my colleagues. As you know, this is a Labour Week, and so we are deeply involved in so many activities in Buikwe and Anjeru. So our delegation has been ably depleted, and today is also Occupational Health and Safety Day. So it was a big challenge for us to appear today, yet it was very important. Allow me, Chair, my name is Richard Bigirwa. I'm the Secretary General of the National Organization of Trade Unions, NOTU. With me, I have 5 colleagues. One on my extreme right is Twaha Sempebwa, the head of the NOTU Electoral Commission. We also have Sister Aneno Catherine, who is the coordinator of the East African Industrial All Unions in East Africa. With me also, I have Treasurer General of the National Organization of Trade Unions, NOTU, Brother Mauku Richard. I have Sister Natasha Sharon, who is on the NOTU Committee of Women. And I have Madame Chandia Christine, who hails from Hospitality Hotels Union in Uganda. Chair, first of all, I would like for clarification to address the fears one of your members has been ably tackling. NOTU is a national center of Uganda, and it came in existence in 1973 under the Amin Decree, later under the Labor Unions Act of 2006, now CAP 228, and it is a legitimate center under the Labor Unions Act of Uganda for avoidance of act, and it represents the workers of this country. It has 2.7 million subscribing members, but it represents the entire population of the country. It is a member-based organization with 39 affiliates across all the trades, teachers, doctors, wherever. We cover all the trades in the country. And under the legal framework, definitely under the AU Protocol on Labor, the ILO Convention 87, which gives us freedom of association, Article 5, and also Convention 98, the right to collective bargaining actions and the right to be represented. Under locally here, we have our Constitution, Article 29 and Article 40, which gives us the right to exist, and also the labor unions, CAP 228. All the above instruments give us the freedom to associate and to affiliate internationally, to access international solidarity and support, participation in policy formulation. Chair, we have appeared before most of the committees of parliament here to try to influence policies which favor workers in the country and also to promote the decent work in the country. Chair, under international affiliations, we come, NOTU is an ILO constituency in Uganda, and Uganda is a member state of the ILO, and therefore NOTU speaks for the workers of Uganda at the International Labour Conference and all conferences in the world. Also, NOTU is affiliated to International Trade Union Congress of Brussels and one of Lome, ITUC International, and also is affiliated to ITUC, East African Trade Union Congress, based in Arusha, and OWATU, Organization of African Trade Union based in Accra. I'm giving all this to show our connection with internationals, because this law is saying whoever has a connection with internationals is an agent. So, as the law says now, we are agents, but I believe the law will not come to pass. Secondly, locally here, as NOTU, we are regulated by the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, because the Registrar of Labor Unions does the supervision of all labor unions, and we do submit returns annually to the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, including all external funding we get, we disclose to the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development under the auspice of the Registrar of Labor Unions. So we are registered under that. The law as it states now, the bill is quite unfair to the workers of this country, I must say, because we depend on the international solidarity in whatever challenge we get. So I believe that this joint committee will go a long way to analyze this bill ably, so that the workers of this country are not differentiated of their rights to freedom of association and freedom of speech. First of all, we have looked at the law, Section 1, as a general comment. All laws which come in force at least must originate from the Constitution. We have looked at the clause where it has originated. We have not been able to see. I will not go into a lot of details because many, especially the Interreligious Council, spoke our mind. And we believe that we should be only able to point out those issues which we feel concerned us, which the Interreligious Council did not touch ably. And I will give my colleague also to make few supplements. One of the unfortunate things which is talking about, we are looking at this law, there is not something to do with disrupting activities. Legally, under the Constitution, workers are given freedom and the right to strike. So we are wondering if this bill comes into the law, that means that we shall not have the freedom of speech, including the freedom to strike, to withdraw labor according to law. That is number one. Number two, we would like also to point very clearly that in a public order management bill, we were exempted from that bill. And it is Article Section 3, Section 3C, we were exempted. Therefore, we are saying, at worst, if this law is to pass or this bill is to succeed, trade unions should be exempted. Because already in public order management bill, we have been exempted because we need to enjoy the freedom of association and the freedom to strike. Also, would like to look at the case of migrant workers. Currently, Uganda is sending 3,000 workers, migrant workers, 3,000 workers out of the country monthly. So if you look at these numbers and the remittances which are competing with the export of coffee, this kind of revenue is going to be affected grossly. And therefore, as workers' representatives, we believe that this law in its current form should not be passed by these two committees. Also, we are looking at prohibition and economic sabotage. In the same way, under the freedom of association, that means any attempt we do to express our freedom as workers, we shall be sabotaging the economy. And therefore, we shall be liable to imprisonment or pay 400 billion, 40 billion. So this one also we find it very encumbering on the workers' side, especially if we are to enjoy our freedom of association. I have also highlighted to you, especially on clause 22, on restriction of funding. I would like to state that I've read to you different partners. All these partners have helped us to organize workers in the country, including the freedom of speech for them. When you restrict funding to only 400 million, this is just a drop in an ocean according to our activities countrywide in the country. So this capping of funding is really a disaster. Secondly, we are also wondering that government gets a big substantial funding, especially from International Labour Organization, close to 300 billion annually to support the workers of this country. And this all, we don't know whether government is also going to become an agent of the International Labour Organization. All these are issues we have looked at as workers, and we believe that this bill in its form will cause a lot will affect productivity, because as workers' organization, we do a lot of awareness, including child labor protection. A lot of funding has come to protect this country in the child labor aspect. All these will be affected. Chair, my colleague will do more, but I want to look at the impacts. The informal sector, which is being supported by NGO, and the workers in the NGO sector are grossly going to suffer. We are crying about the youth unemployment. We have had a lot of issues, and this support has been coming from outside to support youth unemployment. All this is going to go to the drain, and we don't know how our economy is going to be affected. The gender issues which are being funded by the internationals is going to be affected grossly. Occupational health and safety issues in the country, which in the end will end up bringing up a lot of issues on the medical sector. All these have been supported by international community. All these are going to be affected. The digital platform workers, most of these digital platform workers are across border, and their bosses are across the country. And this is the new sector where most of the youth are being employed, especially the platform economy and the gig economy. All these are going to be affected. Chair, I want to give my colleague opportunity just to say a word, two colleagues of mine, then we can conclude. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity given to us. And thank you, honorable members of parliament. I just wish to add my voice to the Secretary General's submission. One is to state that Uganda, being one of the member states of the International Labour Organization, among other UN agencies and other international bodies, there are several standards, conventions, treaties, protocols, recommendations that Uganda is signatory to, and which, if this bill is to pass into law, is actually going to abrogate many of the provisions of the conventions or the international standards to which Uganda is a signatory. And that will create a new phenomenon of problems. So it is important that you as legislators try to address yourself to the issues of the international standards which Uganda is signatory to that have effect to what this bill is proposing. Two is that workers' organizations, the trade unionists, they are highlighted, some of them in the presentation. Number two is that trade unions are a member organization, and we affiliate ourselves, our organizations, to various international federations or international trade union organizations, to which we subscribe. Every trade union in Uganda registered that has affiliation with an international trade union organization pays money periodically. And equally, those organizations pay money back here in form of grants, in form of projects, and if these are projects, you submit a concept with a budget, with strict money lines. And we have a fear that if this bill is to be passed into law, with the level of corruption you are aware about as legislators in this country of ours, where we are being sent to go and line up somewhere to clear these monies, the organization will give you 10 million shillings to conduct an activity. Do you think in the current situation, you are going to go to somebody in the Ministry of Internal Affairs and they clear you these monies free of charge? We know what happens here. We are Ugandans like you are. This is going to cause us a lot of issues. We are going to make money for individuals in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And the next thing that is going to happen, every time people will be coming here to file petitions about what is going to happen, while you are making a lot of money for individual people the other side. So we totally object to this.
Are you talking about corruption?
Yes, please.
Okay. Oh, my mind had gone to fees, licenses, and all that.
No, for me, it's about corruption. If you are clearing 1 billion for me, do you think in this Uganda of ours, somebody will clear that money and doesn't ask for money from you? So, some of these things, let us suffer the disease that we have had without again subjecting us to new. In conclusion, I want to state two more things. One is that while this bill initially could have targeted mainly politicians or people that are political, politicians or apolitical people, or organizations, when you look at the details of the bill, 90% of the people it is going to affect are actually not politicians, but the ordinary Ugandans. The organizations that are doing the right things for Uganda are going to suffer more. And the bill is silent about people who own trillions, but here, they are here with trillions. And they can also influence decision. They can also choose to use their money internally here to do what the bill is trying to cure. So if it is only money from outside, we might achieve what we don't intend, what the bill did not intend to achieve in practice. And finally, while as workers, while we have been grappling with the government over the issue of minimum wage, which has failed you as Parliament to deliver, you know, over 40 years now, we don't have a minimum wages act. You attempted and passed one. It was brought back, claiming that the Minimum Wages Act will discourage investment. This bill, if it passes into law, it will discourage not only investment, but also employment creation. With this, definitely. So with these few, in addition to the various points that have been raised here by the Interreligious Council, by the Governor Bank of Uganda, and the various witnesses you have listened to, it is our prayer that this bill be set aside. And at the worst, if it is to happen, if it is to be passed, trade unions should be saved, or else we shall definitely go and cry where we do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Did you say there was another official? Mama, use 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me this opportunity. And good afternoon, honorable members. Thank you. I just want to add my voice to the colleagues that on the impact of the bill. to the trade union fraternity. The bill will violate the trade union rights to freedom of association and collective bargaining, which is enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And you know very well now that we have the vulnerable workers who are working in the factories, and their rights are already being violated, and they are earning very little money currently. So if the bill is passed the way it is going to violate our rights, and even it will affect the productivity. Of course, the trade union and its members will work with the solidarity partners, as my colleague has said, and we have also the international trade union agreements that we sign with the multinational, especially when it comes on the issues of workers' rights. And in this case, we may end up losing numbers of the multinationals, companies that wants to invest in our countries, and we need to ensure that we scrutinize this bill and we don't rush to pass this bill. The bill will also stifle the trade union advocacy for the labor rights, as I said, on the freedom of association, because we can easily be branded like we are sabotaging the government activities. And yet we are doing our work, and we have been mandated by the Constitution to do it. The trade union are already registered under the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. And of course, we do the annual returns, and the registration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be a duplicate. And the trade union members are also workers in the foreign companies. And any restriction of these companies will directly affect its membership, because we depend on the membership locally here by organizing and recruiting our members into the trade union. So immediately, this bill, if it is passed, as I said, in this form, it will really affect our work. The trade union in Uganda also affiliate and work directly with the Global Union Federation, like Industry All, which the Secretary General has mentioned. And in this case, the Industry All and other partners, they support our members by training on occupational safety and health, the gender-based violence, and the advocacy, whereby when it came to the Convention 190, in this example that I'm giving, we did a lot of advocacy, and this convention was ratified by Uganda government, and it was adopted to stop violence and harassment in the world of work. Now we are in the process of domesticating this convention. What will happen if this bill is passed in this form? Mr. Chairman, I want to stop here. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Toto. Yeah, colleagues, we can now interject.
Chair, as we conclude, our prayers are very clear that, one, we are saying that if the worst is to come to the worst, please exempt trade unions from this act. Number two, you should look at the Constitution and the ILO Convention. We have cited 87, Convention 87, 98, and 114, so that you don't contravene with the ILO Convention. Two, the duplication. We already registered, as my colleague said, and we submit returns. It will not be useful for us again to go to internal affairs, submit returns, do what, register fresh. That's why we have our own registration center, different from the Bureau. So we believe that that does not concern us. Next is that it is better to protect the fundamental rights and principles as you proceed around collective bargaining and freedom of association. E is revise the funding restrictions. The 400 million is nothing, and therefore would request this should not pass. Instead, we should find other mechanism of curbing that through financial intelligence and other areas, that the thousands of immigrant workers out of the country, we should feel like Ugandans and make sure that they are protected as this parliament proceeds with this law. Otherwise, on our side, that we say that this law is not required. We should just strengthen other laws which we have in force if we have any challenges, especially regarding security. Thank you so much.
We have one Fox Wilfred, and then Muliama, Mukono North.
I only dig them, but of course I also eat them.
Then I will.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair and Brother Bigirwa, permit me to play a devil's advocate. You suggested that we can possibly keep people who are engaged in politics in the armpit of this bill. We exempt trade unions, but people who are involved in politics, we keep them, if I heard you correctly. Now I ask the question. The workers have about five members of parliament. How do they get elected into parliament if you don't engage in politics? So I'm only suggesting that you make a very weak case for your exemption because you actually engage in politics. So if you concede that participation in politics is a qualification for inclusion in the operation of the bill, then you fall squarely there. But more importantly, every human being is a political animal. So you have ably made the case that we should probably capture every human being in the armpit of the law. What is your comment?
Chair,
Oh, thank you, Honorable Chair, and I want to thank the team for the presentation. I want the lead presenter to consider the provisions of Article 21 of the Constitution, equality and freedom from discrimination, vis-a-vis their prayer that they be exempted. So if we exempt trade unions and leave those who have said, those involved in the politics, incidentally, the bill does not even define what amounts to political activities. Won't that be discriminatory? Won't that be discriminatory and therefore contravene Article 21 of the Constitution? Secondly, you've mentioned the big number of employees you have in foreign-based companies here and those abroad. As representatives of workers, have you envisaged the kind of traffic jam, human traffic jam, attending to the ministry headquarters on a daily basis to seek for either approvals, certificates, and the like, and the kind of economic loss people will suffer wasting time at the ministry, leave alone the bribes that you may have to pay to have your applications and certificates processed.
Thank you, Honorable Wilfred. Maybe Mr. Bijirwa should also tell us, other than the 5 members of parliament, you, the leaders, were you also elected? Oh. Okay. That's it. Honor.
Yes.
Yes, Honorable Awol.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I want to appreciate the presentation of NOTU. I was part of a committee which worked very hard to let minimum wage see its light, but it never saw light. And that was in the 9th Parliament. But now the speed at which this particular bill is being hurried, and here you say
Honorable colleague.
exempt trade
Honorable
union.
member.
I am talking
Are you
about.
raising the issue
I'm
of
talking
speed to
about
the
trade
stakeholder?
union. I'm talking about trade union.
But the speed, is it?
The speed, yes, the speed at which this one, and yet the most important ones
That
have
one
always
you
been left out.
raise with us.
But this one I am addressing.
Okay,
I'm asking.
Proceed.
I'm asking a question about the exempt. They have been exempted from Public Order Management Act now, and you are asking also for trade union to be exempted from this in case it will go through. How about what will you do if you will not be exempted and they will insist on this bill to go through with your very big number, because the membership is up to over to what? Not inciting. What will they do? Because they are exempted from Public Order Management Act. But if they are not going to exempt you from this one and it's going through, what are you going to do since you have been allowed to strike, to demonstrate, and to do things which should protect the rights of people, freedom for all? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I have not heard something, I don't know whether I didn't pick it, but I didn't hear something to do with our sons and daughters who are working in the Middle East, people working out of the country. I don't know whether they are under you, and what you have to say about their relationship with us, their parents.
Thank you. We can now respond.
Okay. Thank you, Chair and the honorable members of Parliament. I will begin with the last one about what are we doing to our sisters and brothers in the Middle East. NOTU has taken a lot of initiatives. And right now, 2 months ago, we even established a call center. And I think all of you have tested it, including chat box, whatever. We are able to get in touch with our brothers in the Middle East. And I want to assure you that the situation is not normal, because within 1 week we had got 3,000 complaints from the Middle East. And we got perplexed. So we are doing our best. And some of these cases are not ours. Others we do refer to ISO, others to ISO, others to the ministry, others to the embassies. So we are struggling, but the challenge is very big. and we are praying that we overcome it. So on that one, we are doing our best, and we are in touch with most of them in the Middle East.
Can I seek clarification on that? Through your chair. Yeah, you know, this matter is very serious about our sons and daughters who are working outside the country. I would like to find out from you, do you play any role in the recruitment of those people and taking them outside? And we have many companies who register those people. And do you have any influence on those companies who are recruiting our daughters and sons, taking them outside Uganda?
Honorable Chair, my concern was in regard to this bill, how they would be sending their money, how they relate with us. That was my concern.
I think, Chair, I did highlight it. That is how it is a challenge in my write-up. And I've said that that is the reason we don't support this bill, because it is a big challenge to them. Then on Honorable's question is that definitely we are in touch, but one of the key areas that we have memorandum of understanding with UWERA, that is the umbrella organization of all these recruitment agencies. And we do participate in trainings when these pro-boarding, before they go abroad, and we interact with these workers. So with the new dimension of call center, we are able to give them our contacts, the chat box on WhatsApp, we are able to give them numbers, so that when they get problems, we are able to trace them wherever they are. But maybe this is outside the discussion, but the biggest problem which is having is that workers, when they reach abroad, they escape and they want to cut corners, and that is where we are having the biggest problem. Like we have 143 in Cambodia who are stranded. They are now in the shelter, and many others we know, but we are in touch with them. We know the situation. On the issue of exemption, my brother Cox, honorable member, I think I used the word that at worst, that means we don't support the bill. We are saying at worst, if the worst comes, but the best is that this bill, we have other legal frameworks which can address this matter. If they are weak, they should be strengthened. That's why I use the word at worst. We should be exempted. But I do not mean that let us leave others to swim, then we leave ourselves inside. Then I think, what else was there?
Make your concluding remarks, closing remarks, final prayers.
Okay, my prayer is that let's strengthen other legal frameworks.
He has not responded to my issue of, in case it has to be pushed.
What will you do?
What will you do?
Well, what I must state again is that we have come here several times on different laws, especially on the one of TVET. We were not even allowed to put our views. And therefore, the whole ball is with you. It is you to decide whether this law passes or not. So it is not within Marospa. But what we can do, obviously, our role is to continuous advocacy. We shall continue advocating for it to be
both local and international.
Thank you.
Yes, and of course that will be economic sabotage.
We are appealing to ILO. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for your views. They are definitely going to be considered by the committee. And I think I want to request Honorable Byakatonda. (1739), we need to conclude by 18:00. So the students come nearer here, like that. So we are giving 10 minutes to Rotary International. All matters that have been touched, just concur, because if they are well conversed, let us have Rotary-specific issues. Rotary-specific issues. Wanji? What is that you are asking? No, the matters that have been well canvassed, while they are here, they can just concur with what the previous stakeholders said. And then we have specific Rotary matters. I now wish to invite the head of delegation from Rotary to take up the stage. How do you switch it on? Is it on? You introduce your team and then you present your...
Thank you, Chair. My name is Geoffrey Martin Chitakule. I'm the current district governor of Rotary District 9213. And I'm here with Honorable Mike Sebalu. He's the past district governor of District 9213 Rotary. And I'm also with Dan Lubogo. He's our counsel for Rotary Clubs of Uganda. And thank you for accommodating us. What's Rotary in essence? Because it's important that we actually tell you what it is, then we can be able to point out specifics. We are over 1.2 million people worldwide, and these are professionals who form Rotary International. Here in Uganda, the Rotary structure starts from a club, and the clubs form a district, then from the district you go to a zone, and then the zone is part of Rotary International. Rotary Uganda has grown, and currently we have 2 districts, that's 9213 and 9214. We have the one in Munyonyo was District 9214, and then the one in Entebbe was District 9213. Okay. Yes. And these were district conferences where we look at what I've achieved during the year and assess so we can know what we can plan during the next year. The one in Entebbe, our guest of honor was the Vice President, and the one in Munyonyo, the guest of honor was the Speaker of Parliament. So we are 10,000 members currently in Rotary in Uganda and in over 300 clubs. And I'm happy to say that some of our members are members of Parliament here. I'd like to also extend my appreciation to the Parliament, which has supported our programs, especially the Cancer Run program. So as clubs and Rotarians in the country, we do things that transform lives in communities. And this is important for us to know, and that's why we're concerned about this bill. Some of the projects we've done in this country, just to bring you up to speed, most of us who have grown up here have heard of Mwana Mujimu. That was a Rotary project. We're behind the Rotary Blood Bank in Mengo. We are behind the cancer program that's setting up a cancer center in Zambia, and also the only peace center on the African continent, which is based in Makerere. And I'd like to say that the foundation of the Heart Institute and the Cancer Institute were original Rotary programs that the government scaled up into that. And we do this under 7 years of focus: disease prevention, basic education literacy, environmental, supporting the environment, peace and conflict building, WASH, which is water and sanitation, and also maternal and child health, and economic empowerment. Why are we concerned about this bill? Is because the way we structure our projects. Every year, Rotary brings in projects worth $10 million in this country, and those through what we call global grants. This is outside the projects that are funded by local individuals, which is another around $7 million. And these projects are structured in such a way that we work with partners, Rotary clubs around the world, so that we can be able to intervene in the communities and this is funded through the Rotary Foundation. So if we're able to continue implementing this in the communities, where we thank government for creating an environment that enables us to intervene in these communities. The structure of the sovereign bill essentially touches the core of how we structure our projects. So most of these have been raised, the foreign agents. All these will make it impossible for us to do the projects. And through the intervention, and most of in your constituencies, you've seen Rotarians do things that have changed lives. So we are saying that the way it is structured now will not make us be able to compete, because the reality is, even in the global market of philanthropy, there's competition. People will go where it's easy for them to work with other clubs to make a difference. So that's what we are saying, that right now, we would like it to be easy for us to continue intervening. And our role is supplement what government has done and where there are gaps. But even if you look at the program or the bill it is, for us talking about the gaps, we might be landing in danger. That's a fear. And yet we are building a culture of giving back to society. For us being able to give feedback to the members of parliament, the gaps we found and how we intervene them might also put us in danger. The limits of the funds that have been highlighted won't even enable us to intervene and bring the equipment that will make a difference in everybody's lives. So we are saying, yes, the bill is put forward. Will it be able to allow us to continue? I don't think so. So our challenge to members of parliament, most of those who are members, is it broken? You need to fix it. And all we're asking for is living that environment that makes us complement what the government has done, continue making a difference, so all of us can have a better Uganda. And at the end of it, we know Rotary doesn't just turn up, it's part of a group that helps and makes a difference. So allow me to ask my senior to say something as we conclude this, since you've given us very few minutes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening, colleagues. I'm greeting you as colleagues because I've been on that side, and I appreciate what you are doing. We respect it, and that's why we've responded to the call of duty. And I want to begin by thanking you for the extensive public hearing, giving opportunity to stakeholders to share their views around the law. And the stakeholder engagement is indeed critical in determining the credibility of the process and the legitimacy of the law, because you need to pass the legitimacy test, and that requires that the stakeholders do make an input, because we are in it together. The law is supposed to serve the nation, and the nation includes all the stakeholders, as you've allowed us to participate. Rotary has a vision that states that together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. And in that spirit, we come here to take action to create lasting change together. And we do that, like my governor has indicated, through the 7 areas of focus. But essentially, Rotary is complementary to government, and it is also supplementary. Because if you look at the 7 areas of focus, these are the areas where we engage as government in service delivery. And government may not have all the resources to render service to all the communities across the country. And Rotary identifies those needy and more demanding and deserving communities, engage the communities into the needs that they need to be supported in, and through the networks of friends across the world, amongst Rotary clubs, districts, and Rotary International, we are able to support. So we are here to share our views. We appreciate the necessity of the law, but we also want to highlight where it has limitations that may have the effect of not limiting us as Rotarians, but creating a limitation to the people that we want to serve. And those are the people that you represent, those are the people that you serve, and those are the people that we collectively have a responsibility to uplift their way of life. In the interest of time, I want to leave it at that, but I really want to thank you for being active listeners. You know, active listeners are those people that listen not with a view of answering, but with a view of understanding and being able to take an informed position in terms of decision making. So I want to thank you for God and my country.
Thank you. Just to add a sort of a statement, we don't count what we do in terms of money. We count it in the lives impacted. Of the 300 clubs that we have, on average, we touch 20,000 households through the clubs. That is 6 million households. To us, that's the impact that we have. And to us, that's the impact that will be wiped away by some of the clauses in this bill. Thank you.
And in the spirit of the, if we talk about gains, those are gains that are worth protecting.
Isn't it? Very good. You may wish now to ask questions. Yes, Honorable Wilfred.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm just extremely happy and excited to meet my former colleague, whom I'm also joining, the Honorable Sevaru. And now that he has spoken for the philanthropists, and moreover from NRM, who is protecting the gains, who is Yusuf Semambi, to say no.
Semambi is protected. Yes, Anna.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to appreciate Rotary. Thank you for the work you have done, for all the decades of your existence. You kicked polio out of Uganda. You've done amazing things, and we are grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for taking time to submit your views on this bill.
Thank you. I think, yes, Sectorico? Nothing. Okay, good. By the way, do we have Rotarians here? Okay, very good, very good. So I think let's have then Sectorico come and see off our guests. Thank you so much. Mr. Governor and your team, you stand discharged. And have a blessed evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I would like to invite those who are not Rotarians, please come and join us. Thank you.
Please, thank you. Colleagues, now we have done so well. We have done so well to be here up to now. It's now 18, and we have the best. And unless today, unless you disappoint, but the last 3 days, the last group has actually done the best. So, yeah, we always reserve the
And
best.
one
So
way is that
we are going to give you time.
10 minutes.
Colleagues who are badly in need of leaving or departing, I request you to hold it. We have a major announcement to make after our stakeholders leave from the chair here to help us on the way forward. So I now wish to give you an opportunity. You introduce your team and then address us on your memorandum.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair.
Although I need to inform you that the students were here, we had the university students, we listened to them, captured their concerns. We also had the young lawyers who have just left university, I think maybe a year or two. So we are already in the know of the concerns of students. So you should try to be as brief as possible.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and the team. We appreciate the good work you are doing to serve the nation of the road. I'm right, Honorable Alvin Ampumuza Tiyitu, and City Yitu. It means the word is not ours when you put it in English. A proud Muchiga from Kanungu district, who serves as the Public Relations Officer and the General Duties Minister in the Office of the Guild President, Kampala International University. I'm leading this team as a delegate. We were here in the morning and we had the Guild President himself, His Excellency in a Prime Major. He was here, but he has been called for other official duties. We also had Atrinda Shidra, who is the MP School of Law. He accompanied the Guild President. You know, presidents don't move alone. On my side here, I have Honorable Esimu Stephen, the proud Easterner from Parisa district, Soroti, from Soroti. And he serves as the guild judge, and is a strong politician because he's the chairperson workers league in his district. We have a beautiful girl here, a beautiful lady. It's called the Honorable Asine Rita, the State Minister for Students' Affairs. Next to her, we have Honorable Millennium Atonjigwe, the proud Muchiga also, and works as the Speaker of Kampala International University Law Society. Then the last one is Honorable Ojepa Enos. He's the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Kampala International University Guild Union. I hope from Soroti also over Parisa. Parisa. He's a proud man from Parisa. So I've done my part of introduction. Maybe in only 30 seconds, I want to appreciate you members of Parliament, led by Honorable Anna. Honorable Anna is my role model in politics and other things.
I think restricted to politics, other things you will not succeed. Please.
Yeah, it's my role model in everything. So, we are going... So, as I am giving platform to the first speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to thank Honorable Winfred, our lion from Kigezi, because the majority are from Kigezi. Those have represented all of you, we appreciate all of you and we love you. So the first speaker is going to take us through the presentation. For us students, we like sharing, even if it is 2 minutes, 2 minutes. This one will give us the final prayer and I will conclude. I wish you listen to us.
Thank you so much, Mr. President and the distinguished honorables. Good evening. As previously introduced, I'm Atonjele Millennium, the Speaker of Kampala International University. Quick to the point, I would like to first introduce the sovereignty meaning according to the Black's Law Dictionary. It is defined as the supreme, absolute, and controllable power by which independent state is governed. And Article 1 of the Constitution of Uganda provides that all power belongs to the people, that all authority in the state emanates from the people, and the people shall express their will and consent on who shall govern them and how they shall be governed through regular, free, and fair elections or referenda. Firstly, on this bill, where the difficulty appears, it's on the definition of the word foreigner. A foreigner. It includes the familiar category of a non-foreigner citizen, but it also includes a Ugandan citizen residing outside Uganda, and then a further category consisting of any person, institution, or body whom a minister may declare a foreigner by the statutory instrument. It's most unfortunate that the Constitution already provides the framework of who a citizen is, and that's in Article 9, that a citizen by birth, but here I provide that when you leave Uganda, then there you are not a citizen. Yes, an ordinary statute may regulate foreign conduct, foreign funding, and foreign registration, but once it begins to widen the category of foreigners in the way that it reaches a Ugandan citizen abroad and leaves the border, the category to open ministerial declaration, it moves from regulation into description. Article 2 of the Constitution says that any law that is against the Constitution may be declared null and void. So this bill, which provides that a citizen that any person who moves outside Uganda shall be declared foreign, and yet already Chapter 3 of the Constitution provides that anyone born in Uganda is a citizen of Uganda. So which means that it will be in consistency with the law. So as I pass the mic to the next speaker, I pray that in this instant the Constitution should prevail, Sir Chairman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairperson, and the committee at large. As previously introduced, Asimerita is my name. I'm also from Kigezi, Rukunjiri. When we were studying literature, we had this thing of rhetorical questions. And when I had this thing of the Protection of Sovereignty Bill, these were the rhetorical questions that came into my mind. Are there countries with the same laws? Yes. Are we on the same level with those countries? Do their laws provide the same restrictions and the punishments as our proposed law is providing? And the answer is no, because the American FARA provide the punishment for the other funding, what is 5 years, and ours is 20 years. 4 billion. Like, take an example. Let's say this woman working as Kadama in courts sends money to her mother in the village deep down in Rukunjiri. That woman who doesn't have money for supper, in case she's not registered among this law, she's not registered, she doesn't have a certificate, and she's to pay 4 billion, or else she's to be imprisoned for 20 years. Is this really fair? And then when we go to clause 25 of the bill, it carries the difficulty directly into the banking and payment system. Then clause 25 bars a supervised institution from paying out money to an agent of a foreigner without a declaration of source and, where applicable, proof of written authorization from the minister. While clause 26 requires returning detailed detailing the amount received and the purpose for which the funds were used. These provisions place banks and payment providers within the law's enforcement structure and require them to determine who falls within the category of an agent of a foreigner when ministerial approval is required and whether the material placed before them is sufficient to justify release of funds. In advisory work, banks already respond to legal uncertainty of this kind by escalating documentation requirements, delaying the release of funds, and declining transactions that present classification risk regardless of their commercial legitimacy, with the result that the cost of uncertainty is carried by the people and business that depend on the financial system to move money in the ordinary course of economic life. Then once this law also inflicts on the labor implications. In Uganda, this country of ours already has a workforce under pressure where we have this unemployment. And most of the professionals, firms, and households survive through cross-border work. Diaspora-linked support, regional mandates, and externally financed sectors. A law that increases friction around those relationships has the practical effect of narrowing opportunity in labor market that does not have room for unnecessary contraction. The bill may not be framed as a labor statute, but its consequences will be economic. Then, a lawyer may lose a client because the transaction has become more difficult to receive a document. A startup may lose runaway because banking access is slower and more cautious. A project may be delayed because capital must now pass through additional layers of declaration and approval. Then a family may wait longer for money that is needed urgently because the financial system must first satisfy itself and the law has been complied with. Then, most of the members have talked about the vagueness, ambiguity, and the overbroadness of the terms used in the bill. For example, we have the term disruptive activities. They have not specified which exact activities are disruptive. And then we have agent of a foreigner. It is not well explained in the interpretation part. Then, when we go to the case of Major General David Tinyefuza versus Attorney General, the Constitutional Court stressed that constitutional provisions, especially those touching rights and state power, must be interpreted broadly, liberally, and purposively. Then in Onyango and others, and another versus Attorney General, the Supreme Court treated vague and excessive restrictions on constitutional freedom with justified suspicion and held that limitations must satisfy the demanding standard under Article 43 of the 1995 Constitution as amended. Then, those cases are not about sovereignty, but in the narrow sense, they establish a constitutional discipline that is directly relevant here. Uses wide and uncertain categories in areas touching citizenship, participation, association, expression, and economic life must justify that breadth carefully and draft its prohibitions with precision. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman and the committee at large. I wouldn't love again to introduce myself of much. Our president introduced us at first, and he said, I'm Ojepa Enos and I'm from Palsa. That's enough. So we are still continuing with the our views on the proposed bill that is under the table, and we have talked about different things. Different people have brought different views, and the most view that I've heard many people talk about is the word the foreigner, our own citizens being the foreigners in other countries. Now, the question comes back to us. If the citizen, our own citizen, goes to another country and becomes a foreigner, remember, we all know that before you getting the citizenship of that country, at least there must be some time for you to acquire the citizenship of that country. So if our own citizens are not the citizens of the other country, and we have also disowned them, and remember, these are our own children. We are parents. You're a parent. Your own child goes to another country and becomes a non-citizen of that country, and also in our own country. That one alone speaks and also brings a very big shame to our own country. And then also, these citizens of ours that are working in other countries are doing a lot in the businesses they support, the paying of the school fees of their own brothers and then the sisters. And then also they create opportunities in the employment opportunities in the areas that they reside. For example, if the citizen lives to work abroad, then comes back and creates, let's say, a very big business, a lot of people will be employed in that business. But now, if the restrictions are there for a person to send money to the relative, and if is or maybe she is even to send the money, there are procedures that person has to take. For example, the registration. If maybe, as the other speakers had just said, let's say a person from Deep Rukunjiri district can't even, actually has never even stepped in Kampala. The office of the minister is in Kampala, doesn't know anything about Kampala, and that person has to come and register. Remember, the office is not Rukunjiri. The person has to come and register with the office of the minister in Kampala. That one alone speaks volumes, and also makes it difficult for the person to access these services, yet we need these services. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is that in my paper today on Article 6 of the Paris Agreement and the carbon market in Uganda, I examine a sector whose structure is international from the outset. Carbon markets in Uganda are being built through Article 6 cooperative approaches, voluntary carbon markets, and then renewable energy, reforestation, and regenerative agriculture, clean cooking, and other project-based mechanisms, whose financing, verification, and market access depend heavily on foreign capital, foreign standards, foreign buyers, and foreign technical partners. And then also the same paper identified the sustainability-linked investments already entering Uganda through the nature-based project and others. Uganda Investment Authority has publicly highlighted major sustainable-related foreign direct investment projects in Uganda, including solar, land restoration, and clean ventures as part of the country's recent positioning in green investment. Now, a bill that approaches the foreign-linked finances through the framework of suspicion, approval, declarations, and reporting. We
should be concluding in the next
I'm not concluding. does not remain neutral once it enters the sector. So now, these investors, get scared because now, if you're to invest in the country, you have to get a certificate that can take only 2 years, and it expires. You have to again to renew this certificate. Now, only the 2 years makes an investor suspicious and also get scared of investing in the country. And that is how we are going to see our own country declining economically, and we are going to see the increased unemployment of many youths in the country, and that is very bad. And that is the very reason we are seeing our own people moving abroad, because of unemployment in our own country. So, with my own view and with my own opinion, I would also say this bill should be thrown for at least for the benefit of the young generation and the incoming generation, the young children, for God and my country.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, the Guest House at large. I am Simu Stephen from Kampala International University. Honorable Chairperson, allow me in this time to honor my beloved Honorable Anadeke Baju. For us, the people of Soroti, we love you so much. And thank you for representing the people of Soroti. Now, Honorable Chairperson, we have been here since morning and we have listened from very many sectors. And here we are. I don't think it will be important again for me to go through what other sectors have gone through. I'm here to pray to this house. As parents, we are your children. I know in our homes, we intend to make laws and orders. Maybe the husband may say, you cook, then I will be the one to serve. That one looks awkward sometimes because you'll injure the what? The other partner. Like you have produced children and you bring strict restrictions to your children. When those children grow up, they can even fear you as a parent. Now bringing here to this bill might even make the citizens to fear their own country. Mr. Honorable Chairperson, I know for us we are here to beg, but the people who are going to take decisions is this house. How I pray, the proposals people have made, please try to give a listening ear.
That's a good one. Then that. We can conclude just there.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. For this, I beg to stop.
Thank you.
For God and my country.
Thank you.
I hope you are seeing Kampala International University has bright students.
Yeah, sure.
So, I'm an author and sometimes I might use some diction that is somehow tiresome.
Don't worry.
But
just use it.
I will start like this. And I request you to open your ears and minds very well. We survived by luck in the past, but we must ensure our future. That is number one. It was better while we waited to be leaders. For you to be MPs, you passed through a lot. We know the pressure in elections. It was better while you waited to succeed and sit here to decide for the nation. But now, you have nothing to look forward to other than protecting our rights. We have killed our past as Ugandans, but it is high time we save our future. Lastly, when the winds of change blow, we know we might be even from NRM or whatever, but here it is about mindset change. When the winds of mindset change blow, everyone, regardless of your party, you must sail ashore to navigate the storm. There is a German scholar, as I conclude lastly, he said, and this goes to you. Yeah, to you MPs, honorable MPs. When they came for socialists, I kept silent because I was not a socialist. When they came for Jews, I kept silent because I was not a Jew. When they came for trade unions, I kept silent because I wasn't one. And finally, when they came for me, there was no one left to speak on my behalf. I relate this with the 2013 saga, when the Right Honorable retired John Patrick Amama Mbabazi, my former MP, was here seated like where you are seated now, Chair, championing to bring into law the bill that was in existence that time of the Public Order Management Act. Unfortunately, the bill passed because he wanted it and was a super minister. This bill worked on him first in 2015 going to Mbari. So, when they come for opposition parties, now I'm quoting it on my own opinion. When they come for opposition parties...
The Proud Muchiga.
Yeah.
Your point has been
in
made.
my own opinion now, borrowing knowledge from the other...
Your message is well delivered.
Also, when they come for opposition parties that get financial support from the diaspora and whatever, I kept silent because I'm an NRM member who gets money from iPod and manages the budget myself. When they come for Kadamas,
It's just speaking of CAF. Okay, conclude. The Proud Muchiga, conclude.
I'm concluding.
Conclude.
When they come for Kadamas or families with Kadamas that send them money to do the projects and whatever, I kept silent because I don't have a Kadama and I don't benefit from them. I said this goes to you. Put yourself in those shoes. When they come for NGOs, I kept silent because I am an MP. I manage to pay or to cater for my family. I don't need Compassion International and every NGO that gets support from outside. But when no one is too told to see tomorrow, finally they will come for you and no one will be there to speak for you. I submit. May God bless you.
Thank you. First is I want to... Hey, have we even interacted with them? Not yet. Okay, now the floor is open. The floor is open. Just one or two. Honorable Sijan and that is all. Honorable Sijan, can you speak to our student?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And thank you, Kampala International University School of Law, for appearing before us and submitting so eloquently and bringing your views. I just wanted to commend you and to comment on your concluding remarks. You know, many entities which have appeared here have been saying if the bill must pass, at least exempt us. You know, the trade unionists have said, we object to the bill, but if it must pass, please find a way of exempting us. Bank of Uganda has said, you know, if it must pass, find a way of exempting regulated entities. So then it becomes a survival for the fittest, like those who can put forward stronger appeals to be exempted, assuming that we process and the bill passes, and it has exempted a section of 20 entities accounting for a few million Ugandans. What about the others? So I think it fits well with your statement about the wise saying, you know, when they came for them, I didn't bother because I wasn't them. So I think that it's a sort of absurdity for others to say, you know, find a way of saving us. For as long as we are saved, we care, but if we can survive it, we will, you know, wink and let it pass. So thank you so much for your wise sayings. We would dread finding you on opposing sides of the bar, you know, when we are litigants. You seem to be very talented lawyers in the making. Thank you very much.
You want to engage with the students?
No, thank you.
Maybe Honorable Wilfred to another proud Muchiga of the committee. Honorable Wilfred.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. First of all, I want to commend these students. And I will summarize the points they have raised. The issue of carbon markets, which is real and is an emerging market that is likely to be affected. The issue of digital trade. The issue of Uganda actually now largely surviving on remittances from the diaspora, and which diaspora, a majority of whom come from the poor families and not those who are privileged to be getting money from the consolidated fund. And the vagueness and excessive restrictions in the bill that tend to contravene the Constitution and the authorities we have cited. As a former lecturer of law at the LDC, I see a bright future in you. Keep it up.
That comes to, we now want to close. On behalf of the chair here, I want also to commend you as students having that courage to come before a committee of parliament and articulating national issues is no mean feat. Actually, I was thinking here in 1995, 96, when I was at MOOC for my first bachelor's degree. I'm not sure if I had the guts to apply, to request to come and appear before a committee of parliament. I'm not so sure if I could. But I think you are second, third year students, probably fourth year. Your courage is commendable and your research is also good. We thank you and please keep vigilant. The future is very bright for you. Thank you. And I request the Proud Mujiga to see you off. Don't forget to ask for transport. Honorable Wilfred, kindly see off our students.
Maybe, Honorable Chairman, I wanted to
I am delegating Honorable
and Anna.
Adeke Ann. I still have issues with the Honorable Joan here.
Okay. Please, Anna, see off our students. Yeah. Colleagues, we have a small one in a few minutes as the students exit.
Talk of the day on UBC.